Hello and welcome to the Illuminate podcast. I am your host, Brian M. Truskowski with Illuminate. Today, I am pleased to have our guest, Tinesha Cherry. Tinesha is a renowned author, poet, and award-winning international speaker. She has been involved in mentoring, leading, empowering, and influencing audiences for more than 22 years. As a professional speaker, Mrs. Cherry uses a combination of motivational speaking, skillful poetry, and compelling storytelling to deliver a message of hope and inspiration to teach others how to rise above adversity and achieve their best personal, professional, and educational dreams. Ms. Cherry has touched lives of more than 100,000 individuals in 24 states and 4 countries. Tinesha, it is beyond a pleasure to have you on the show today, dear. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. I just want you to know that it's an honor and a privilege for me to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And I just for the audience is, I met Tinesha on a business call a few weeks ago, and she lit up the room and brought me to tears with all the amazing stories and just poetry that she was sharing. And I had to have her on the show. So Tinesha, could you just go ahead and just share a little bit more about yourself and who you be and what you offer with the guests or with the audience?
So I always start out by telling people, I was born to a mother addicted to heroin. I was born with heroin in my system. My earliest childhood memory was living in an abandoned apartment building where we used to have to put old food cans in the windowsill when it rained just to get water to drink. I don't know who my father is. I've never met him before. I've been subjected to, physical, mental, emotional abuse and molestation. I've been in and out of the foster care system, and I'm the product of the adoption system. And with a history like that, right? Like the world decided my fate a long time ago. The world said that I would not have anything, I wouldn't be anything, I wouldn't do anything, I wouldn't want anything, right? And I tell people all the time, but God said, and only God has the power to show you who's God, right? And so today, I'm an author, a poet, an international award-winning motivational speaker. I'm a leadership trainer. I'm a women's empowerment coach. I coach youth development, right? I'm into that. I do leadership training all over the country. I teach first and second line leaders how to be better leaders. I'm a founder of an organization for young girls to teach them to be bold, brave, beautiful, brilliant, and balanced. And I also have 2 companies. So I'm an entrepreneur as well. And so in addition to that, I have a long-standing 26-year career as a federal law enforcement officer as well. And so, I tell people all the time, I'm just somebody here to tell everybody not to let anybody treat you like nobody. Right? You don't ever let anybody treat you like nobody because they don't get to write your story. They can assume, right? They can predict. They can say, well, based on the stats, they can do all of those things, but they don't get to write your story. You are the author of your own story between you and God, right? But God, right? They don't get to tell you that you cannot, will not be anything because they don't predict the future. And you're the author of your own story, and how that story ends is completely up to you. You get to write it chapter by chapter every single day. And so I chose to be the master of me. I chose to be the master of my pen, right? And so I wrote that story with everything that I had. And so that is the result of who I am today.
That's amazing. I just want to, like, when I first heard that story, it's like, wow, you came from the bottom of the bottom, right? And then you personally chose to say no to this and made the choices to get to where you are. And as we were sharing before the call, I woke up and was having a quote bad day, right? But through my interaction with you, I'm like, you know what? I'm at choice to get angry at this person. I'm at choice to be here, or I'm at choice to leave it all behind. And you inspired me to get there. So I just want you to talk about, like, there's a statement that I have is all stimulus is inherently neutral. And I'm challenged on that. And what I think you can say can help sort of debunk all the naysayers, and that something bad happens to you and now you're a victim to that, when that is so far from the truth. So I'm just curious, for you to just share your amazing wisdom and poetry around that.
Well, but for me, it has always been this. Adversity is a reality. You keep living, right? You keep living. I mean, like you're either preparing for a storm, you're in the middle of the storm, or you just came out of the storm, right? But there's always a storm. Adversity is a reality, but reaction is a choice. And you get to choose, right? You get to choose. You get to choose. You have three choices. You either sit back, you turn back, or you fight back. You either sit back and you let it happen to you. You turn back and you run away, or you fight back with everything you have. You fight back. And I chose to fight. Right? If you choose not to fight for it, you have no right to it. As for me and my house, we will fight. And we will fight, and we will fight, and we will fight, and we will fight, and we will fight. And just when you think we cannot fight anymore, we will find the will and we will find a way to continue to fight. Because I tell people, right, that quote, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I'm not going to live on my knees. I've already been through a life where somebody else controlled my situation, but now that I'm an adult, I get to control my situation, and I will never allow somebody else to control my situation again. I will fight, no matter what. Even if I have to die right there fighting, I will fight. I will always fight. And so when things happen to you, you get to choose. You get to choose. It can sting for a moment, or you can allow it to paralyze you for a lifetime. Right? You can choose that, because no matter how long you live, there will always be adversity. There will always be tragedy. There will always be trauma. There will always be challenges, but there will always be opportunities as well. You can choose it. And for me, right? For me, I chose a life of perseverance. I chose a life of resilience. I tell people all the time, my first name is strength, my middle name is resilience, and my last name is perseverance, because that's who I choose to be. But that's the choice, and you got to get up every single day, and you have to make that choice for yourself every single day. Because if you do not, you either lay down and die, or you get up and you fight. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with feeling mad. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad. There's nothing wrong with having tears. There's nothing wrong with, because that's a valid emotion. You can cry, but don't cry too long. Because what I know is if you lay down there and you cry too long, you wind up drowning in your own tears. That's just my perspective, Brian.
Thank you. Man, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of you saying your first and middle and last name. I mean, that's just like, I want to record that and just listen to it every morning. And like that's enough to keep me going right there. So, all right. So we're going to move into the first round of questions. And it's, what are three things that you're passionate about? And I know there's a lot that you're passionate about, but what are three things that you are passionate about that are important to you, that are in your heart, that you just want to share?
I think it's very important when I think about who I am at my very core. The three things that are most important to me would be self-confidence, self-respect, and self-love, right? And so I say that because just based on the environment that we're in today, like our reality today, we're spending more time with ourselves, by ourselves, than we probably ever have. Right? And so it's very important that you show yourself kindness, right? It's very important that you have self-love, right? And it is, no matter how much confidence I have today, right? Like I know that, depending on, how I feel when I wake up, I may not be this bold when I wake up tomorrow, right? Like, I haven't always been this bold. I haven't always been this confident. I haven't always been this, well, maybe I have always been this loud, but certainly, certainly maybe not always this confident. But I know that every day, right? Like, and the reason I say that is because sometimes just life will just catch up with you sometimes, right? Like something will happen, or someone will say something, or you experience something, and then it kind of, sometimes it will, it'll pierce through that armor that you have built up around you, right? Like, and so sometimes you will start to suffer that imposter syndrome, right? Sometimes you're like, you know what? how did I get here? Am I supposed to be here? You know, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I, you know, do I do enough? Do I know enough? Right. And so you start to doubt your own self because of, you know, something that happened or something that somebody said. And so all of these things that I've accomplished, right? All of these things that I've been able to accomplish in my lifetime, you know what, even if I were to stop right here, right now, I tell people, you know what, if the plane was going down tomorrow, if it was all over for me tomorrow, I would be able to say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. And so out of all the things that God has given me the opportunity to do and to be, sometimes I will have just a second of self-doubt. And so I try to remind myself that you are enough, that you have enough, you've done enough, you've been enough, you are enough, right? And I know that I have to do that for me, right? Because I'm the first person I wake up to every morning. I'm the person that I spend all day with. I'm the last person I go to bed to at night. I'm the one person I cannot escape. So I cannot afford to have a bully living inside of me. I can't afford to have somebody questioning me that I can't get rid of. I can't afford to have that person, right? That's the one person nobody can save you from is you. So you have to save yourself, even if you're saving yourself from that internal bully. So, Brian, I have something that I want to share with the audience.
Oh, God, please.
Listen, and you know what? Listen, you know what you're gonna have to do. If you have something to say, Brian, you're gonna have to jump in, right? Like, because if not, I'm just gonna go.
Like I said, Tanisha, like you got, I mean, normally I would corral this, but like you got free reign, sister, please. Like I could listen to you all day long. So go.
So, you know, this is something I want to share. This is near and dear to me. I tell people all the time. I probably have about 150 to 200 poems, and every single one of them means something to me, right? Like it's something near and dear to my heart. And so for this one, this is something that I think this is something that a lot of people suffer, right, from. But I know this is something that creeps up on me every now and again. And I want to share this, and this is called Out of the Darkness. I used to know this person who I talked to every day. Even when I didn't feel like talking, they somehow make a way. We talk and talk for hours, sometimes day and night. I was convinced they knew everything because they were always right. I said, I think I look good today. They said, but you're still fat. I said, I think I'm helpful. They said, yeah, but you're just a doormat. I said, I think I'm a good person. They said, yeah, but you're not kind. I said, I think I'm beautiful. They said, are you completely blind? I said, I like to serve others. They said, yeah, but you're a user. I said, I think I can do anything. They said, yeah, but you're a loser. I said, I think I'm pretty smart. They said, stop acting dumb. I said, I think I look pretty sharp today. They said, you look like a bum. I said, I think I'm deserving. They said, yeah, but you're not the best. I said, I think I'm valuable. They said, yeah, but you're not as good as the rest. I said, I think I have a lot of hurt. They said, but you're a coward. I said, I think I make the right decision. They said, yeah, but you're not empowered. Whenever I was happy, they find a way to make me sad. Whenever I felt good about myself, they somehow make me feel bad. After taking a closer look, I realized they didn't know it all. I also started to realize that they wanted to see me fall. One day I decided to ask them, why are you so mean to me? To which they replied, that's who I choose to be. After taking a second look, I started to clearly see it was my reflection in the mirror. I realized they were me. I was my own bully. I was my own mark. I was the person who was trying to suffocate me in the dark. I was beating myself up. I became enemy number one. I had to face my inner bully. From me, I could no longer run. I decided to stand up for myself. I decided to accept me. I decided to love myself. No longer am I my enemy. I used to know this person who I talk to every day. I don't talk to them anymore because they've completely gone away. Now I know a person who I love talking to. I love everything about them. I love everything they do. I look forward to talking to this person each and every day. Yes, I still talk to myself. I just have nicer things to say. I tell myself that I'm beautiful. I tell myself that I'm smart. I tell myself that I have courage and a whole lot of heart. I tell myself that I love you, imperfections, flaws, and all. I tell myself that I'll catch you whenever you do fall. Now I treat myself like a blessing sent from up above. Now I talk to myself like I'm talking to someone I truly love.
No words, Tanisha. I mean, that brings me to tears. That just, I think I'm raising my hand. I'm sure there's not a dry eye in this audience that can't resonate with anything that you just said there.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, right, like you have to love you enough to
Mhm.
save you,
Yeah.
right? And it's just the way it is. And I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy every day. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy all day. But what I am going to say is that every day you have to get up and you have to try. And all day you have to choose to love you and you have to choose to save you. Because if you don't show up for you, if you don't come for you, if you don't love you enough to show up for you, who's going to come for you first? Because we all have a responsibility to show up for ourselves first. And if you're busy showing up for you, Brian, first, if you're showing up for you first, how can you show up for me first? Right? We all have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to save myself. I have a responsibility to be worth it to myself. And so I know that I have to choose me. And more importantly, like, especially for us as women, we always want to give so much to everybody else, and we always want to be there for everybody else, and we always want to save everybody else. But if you can't save yourself, you can't save anybody else. Think about all these people who depend on you, all these people who need you. But if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of them? So you have to show up for you. Sometimes we think it's selfish to take care of ourselves first. But it's just like that saying, right? On the plane, right? Put on your own mask before you try to help somebody else, because you have to put on your own mask. Because if you don't put your own mask on and you're busy trying to help the next person, now we have two people in trouble. So you have to save you in order for you to save somebody else.
Absolutely. I was talking with someone last night who, again, raising my hand, and a lot of us we come from a codependent, healer, empathetic history. And so we want to save, we want to fix, we want to help at our own detriment, but we stop and we never take care of this. We never stop and take care of ourselves to our own detriment. And I can raise my hand. I'm so familiar with that story.
I was
So,
literally reading something the other day, and it was about, the example was, leaders, and not necessarily people who are in a formal leadership position, but just people who always want to give, right? Right. We always want to take care of people. We always want to make sure that everybody's okay. And so what we do is we put this backpack on, and we carry this backpack up this mountain. And as we're going up the mountain, we're collecting all these rocks. These are people's emotional issues, other people's trauma, other people's problems. We're collecting and then we're putting it in our backpack, or we're putting it in our backpack, and we lighten the load for everybody else. Yes, we take care of them, but eventually our backpack is so heavy that our back is broken. We can't even continue to climb up the hill anymore. It's so many people on the way up there that need our help, but we are stuck right there in the middle because my back is broken now, because I've carried so many other people's stuff. And so one of the things that we have to learn to do is we cannot allow people to take their problems and put it on our plate, right? You have to learn to help people help themselves. That's what you have to learn to do, because you cannot solve everybody's problem. Because if you're so busy solving the world's problems, how are you going to solve the problems that you're dealing with? So take care of you, and then do what you can to help others take care of them.
absolutely. I came up with a saying a number of years ago, and I had to pair two parables together. I help lead a horse to water and teach him how to fish.
Absolutely.
Right?
That,
Because it's like, I'll lead you there, I'll show you the way, I'll give you the tools, but as the
yeah,
lovely saying is you can't do it alone and no one can do it for you.
that,
Right? So you
no
have to
truer
come walk,
words.
you got to open the door, you got to walk through the fire. I'll give you the tools, I'll give you the support, I'll be the cheerleader for you, but I
Listen,
can't do it for you.
absolutely. And guess what? I will even open the door for you, right? But you have to walk through it. But you right? I will even open the door, but you have to walk through it, right? You have to want it. You have to be worth it to you,
Yep.
right? Because and that's just the reality of the situation.
Whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. So really quick, you mentioned you had a piece that you wanted to offer. Has that been offered already? If not, there's a question I'm going to ask.
Which piece? What are we talking about?
I don't remember. You just mentioned you had a piece before the call that you wanted to offer. Maybe you already
Oh,
shared.
yes, yes, yes. The perfect day. We're
Yeah.
talking about, yeah. Oh, so I want to do this exercise with you, Brian. So you're my audience. I normally do this with a much larger audience, but hey, you're the perfect audience, right? And so what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to really, really concentrate. I want
And
you to
I'll
visualize.
invite the listeners to do this too while I'm doing this. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Listeners, please do this. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to really concentrate. I want you to start to visualize your perfect day. Start to visualize your perfect day. Who's there with you? Who's there with you on your perfect day? Is your family there with you? Do you have friends there with you? Maybe you're alone on your perfect day. What is the weather like? Is it hot? Is it cold? It is a beautiful 75-degree day. Are you in the mountains? Are you on the beach? Are you in a swimsuit? Are you in a snowsuit? Are you actively participating in something? Or maybe you're just kind of relaxing. What is your perfect day like? Can you feel the air on your face? Can you practically taste the food? Just take a moment, stay there for a moment. You're in your perfect day. You almost don't want to leave, it's so perfect. All right, now open your eyes. So where were you? Where were you? Where were you on your perfect day? Who were you with, right? Like, so Brian, where were you on your perfect day? Like location, were you in the States? Were you out of the country? Were you in the city? Were you in the country? Like where were you physically in your mind on your perfect day?
You want me to answer this? Yeah. So where
Yeah.
I was, it's up north, Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes Empire, northern Michigan is, I go there all the time, and it's one of my favorite places in the world to go. So that's, so sitting there with, you have the thick trees in the forest, or the pine forest and the deciduous trees, and you have the majesty of Lake Michigan and the dunes and the simplicity of the world up there.
So, so I want you to think about this, and I want the listeners to think about this. And so this is a riddle, and I want to see if you can solve this riddle. I'm the most precious commodity in the world. Everyone wants more of me. I'm so precious that my value cannot be determined. I'm priceless. No matter how much money you have, you can't buy more of me. I'm invaluable. But not everyone recognizes my true value. Once I'm gone, there's no replacing me, and I don't cost anything. What am I? Right? And when you think about that, what am I? And so many people really don't know the answer to that riddle. And the answer to the riddle is time. Time. When you think about time, I am the most precious commodity in the world. Everyone wants more of me. I'm so precious that my value cannot be determined. I'm priceless. No matter how much money you have, you can't buy more of me. I'm invaluable, but not everyone recognizes my true worth. Once I'm gone, there's no replacing me, and I don't cost anything. I don't cost a dime. The answer is time. And it's so important, Brian, because you know what? The thing about it is you're lucky. You've already experienced your perfect day numerous times. But I ask people, think about your life before COVID. If you could actually think about what your life was like before COVID, right? And if you could really, really visualize what your life was like. And now think about your life after COVID. Because eventually, yeah, there will be life after COVID. Right? COVID will eventually be a thing of the past. And I want you to think about what your life will be like after COVID, because the thing about it is not everyone has had the opportunity to live their perfect day. You're lucky. So many people, we are just going and going and going and going and doing and doing and doing and doing. And I know that I am just as guilty, because if I were to explain my life pre-COVID, I would have to explain it as hectic. Right? Hectic. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, I'm all over the place, right? And so that's the thing. Because if you haven't already lived your perfect day, you know what? You better live your perfect day, because at some point or another, right? When you're 90 years old and you're sitting around and your body just don't move like it used to, right? And the only thing you have is your memories, if you're lucky, right? Like you don't get there and you don't get to say, you know what, I don't like the way this turned out. I want to hit the reset button. I want to do over. That's not the way things work, right? So do all that you can do and be all that you can be whenever you can be it, and do it now. Now is the time. This is the place, right? Because we don't, right? Tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? You deserve to live a life of purpose, with purpose, on purpose right now. And so I want to leave the audience with this, and it is called The Perfect Day.
And I just want to say amen, sister, to all you just said, because that's part of how I help operating as well, is like getting people to find that. And if they're not there, then they're the author of their own life. As you said, I have the pen in my hand. And if I haven't created the world that I want, then that's my fault. No one else's.
And it certainly is your choice, right? And if you haven't already, then you know what? There's no better time than the present, right? Start writing that story. Start being the author of your own story. Start living the life you want to live. You know, I actually had a conversation with my sister the other day, and I said, the reality is that, you know what? We're already coming down on the other side, right? We're already past the halfway point. You know, we've already climbed the mountain. We're coming down on the other side, and coming down should look exactly the way you want it to look, right? And so live the life you want to live. Be the person you want to be. Life is too short, right? We're worried about things that we are stressed out over things that, if you really think about it, 5 years from now, would this even matter? Right? Like if somebody was really sick in your family, if you were sick or your children were really sick with the issue that you're really stressing yourself out about right now, would it even matter? Yeah. 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't matter. And so I want to share this, and it's called The Perfect Day.
Please.
And it says, people come and people go. Will I see tomorrow? I do not know. Tomorrow will bring whatever it may, but today seems like the perfect day. It's the perfect day to say I love you. It's the perfect day to say I care. It's the perfect day to say thank you. I appreciate you always being there. It's the perfect day to help someone else in their time of need. It's the perfect day to do all you can to help someone succeed. It's the perfect day to reach out to someone who needs a helping hand. It's the perfect day to help someone to their feet who finds it difficult to stand. It's the perfect day to motivate someone whose life is really tough. It's the perfect day to encourage someone who's had just about enough. It's the perfect day to help someone find their way when it gets difficult to see. It's the perfect day to provide support in the midst of adversity. To put things off until tomorrow is really easy to do. To get caught up in the everyday chaos of living is just as easy too. But tomorrow may turn into a lifetime of waiting on an opportunity that may never come. You may find yourself in a holding pattern that you cannot escape from. The place is here, the time is now, so take a moment today to appreciate the best things in life in each and every way. Stop and smell the roses, or breathe in the fresh spring air. Relax in the shade, enjoy the warm sun, or pay attention to something you never noticed was there. For no one knows that exact circumstance of that final moment, of that one last chance, because tomorrow is not promised to me nor you, but you have today. So what are you going to do?
That answers all the questions. Mm-hmm.
You have today, and you know what? And this is, this is the thing, like I always hesitate whether I even want to bring this up. But the reality of the situation is nobody wakes up in the morning preparing that this may be it, that today is the day, right? Like you don't know. Your last day is probably going to start out like every other day, right? You're not going to know that you have 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 2 seconds. You're not going to know that. Most of us don't know that on our last day. And so you better find the perfect day. I always use this thing as an example. I use this story as an example. It's actually a story about my cousin. He actually worked the midnight shift. And it was about, he was supposed to be to work at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So he's on his way to work. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. He's on the freeway. and he's driving into work, and something happens, his car stops. So he's on the freeway and his car stops. So something starts happening with his car. And so they tell you to pull over to the side and they tell you to stay in the car, right? And so he's on the side of the road. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. He's in the car, right? And so the thing about it is how many people are on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning? Not very many people are on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. What are the odds that a car would even be on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning? Another car would even be on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. What are the odds that at the exact moment this car gets ready to pass you, what are the odds that the driver will fall asleep at the wheel? What are the odds? What are the odds that this driver will fall asleep at the wheel and his car will veer directly into your car? What are the odds of that? What are the odds that your car would burst into flames? What are the odds? He did not leave home thinking he was never coming back. But what are the odds? His last day started out like every other day. I can almost guarantee that he had not lived his perfect day yet. And the reality is everything that he had not done by that point, he would never have the opportunity to do. If you have not already lived your perfect day, live your perfect day because you deserve to have a perfect day. This thing called life is so precious and it's so short. And live it to the best of your ability every single day.
Wow. You leave me speechless, Tinesha, every single time you share a story. That you're right. I mean, that's just, we don't think that, right? We think we're, a lot of people, we're impeccable, we're flawless, we're fearless, we're going to escape death, and what are the odds?
What are the odds? What are the odds?
And I want to say something. One, I just want to apologize for that, occurrence and that having to happen to your brother, you said, right?
My cousin.
I mean, that's
my first cousin.
I can't even imagine that, right? That's horrible, right?
My cousin, I believe he was, he may have been 31. He may have been 31 when he died.
Wow. And it's like this, it's like you said, there's eloquent ways of saying it, but we don't know when our last day or time is. So why not now, right? And I want to share this. This is a quote that came to me directly, is when will you see that everything around you is a sign of abundance from God? Everything. Everything is a teacher, a guru, a lesson to learn from.
And you know what?
Death, I just want to say, it's funny we're talking about this. I want to wrap soon because we're kind of probably way over in time. For whatever reason, I slept not at all last night. I was guided to pick up this book, Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which I haven't read in years. And I was guided to open to a random page. It was chapter 12. It was about death. And it's exactly what we've been talking about today. It's like, we don't know. If you aren't living your perfect life, why not? And why not start right now?
That's right.
Because you have no excuses. And it's all about baby steps. You're not going to achieve it overnight, but you can start making steps towards that path and that end goal.
And you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You are so deserving. So be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Show up for yourself. Take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. Self-love is so important.
Absolutely. And it can look in however you want. So Tinesha, you've once again have impressed me beyond words. And so we went off script today and I was completely prepared for it. So just to kind of wrap, two things. What is, how can people get a hold of you? And we'll have the links to your sources in the comments or in the description of the video. But how can people get a hold of you?
They can reach out to me. They can reach out to me via my website at TineshaCherry.com. They can send me an email directly through the website, or they can send me an email directly at info@TineshaCherry.com.
Great. And really quick.
Obviously, social media, right? Like, I always forget about my social media, Brian. I was telling you the last time that my social media, like, because I forget about my social media so much, I never remind people to connect with me. Like, I never remind people to, join me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, I didn't even realize how important LinkedIn was, right? Like, I'm doing all of this speaking and I'm doing all of this stuff, and I had the opportunity to speak for Frito-Lay, and one of the women from Frito-Lay, they brought in all of their regional managers, and I did a workshop for all of their regional managers, and she said, Tanisha, are you on LinkedIn? And I'm like, what?
What's that? I have no idea what that is. Yeah.
And so I had heard about it, but I wasn't like really into it. And so yeah, LinkedIn is so important. And so if I would say this, if anybody enjoyed what I had to say today, if you support what I'm talking about, if you are, if you're interested in what I'm doing, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you enjoyed any piece of this interview, I would love for you to, put it on LinkedIn, put in a recommendation for speaking, or, some sort of endorsement. So I said that I'm not going to forget to do that from now on. So yes, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and I can be found at Tinesha Cherry Speaks.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Tanisha. It's like I said, it's been beyond a gift to have this conversation. And I know that we could have a 2, 4, 10-day podcast nonstop and not get to the bottom of it. But, we all have to maintain some parameters and boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that, thank you all for listening. I appreciate you all listening. And like Tanisha said, if any part of this message touched you, please share this video, share this message. As I say in all the podcasts, this is about continuing the conversation, reaching out, having difficult conversations, and reaching out and inspiring others, living from the moment, living in the day, and helping lift each other up. So please share the message, share the video, have conversations with your friends, family, or loved ones. And as always, thank you all for listening. I love all of you. Get out there and make a beautiful and blessed day. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you.